Good morning. Week 2. Ghost. Fellas, boys, girls. Excited to be here. I could not be more happier. And then, hey, let's start it off right here. Ghost, how are you doing today? Obviously, Tulak loves you here. Why is Ghost so handsome? I'll hang up and listen. I think that's what everybody wants to hear is, why are you so handsome? And then we'll get into football.
I'm growing out the beard. It has to be that. I got to say, it's made some pretty good progress in a week. But I feel like that's been the it factor. It's been that Jalen Reagor week 1 it factor. So,
all right. Well, that was a hell of a call last week. So let's get into it. Can everybody hear us okay? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Let us know. He is Canadian. That's true. That's also why he's so nice. Canadians are always just the nicest people. So good for you guys. Let's get after it. First game, Denver, Jacksonville.
Oh, gross.
Honestly, yeah, like we're going to be pretty quick on a lot of these games. We're going to skip over a few. If you guys have questions for season-long DFS, whatever the case may be, please let us know. We're here for you. We need one. Let's start right off the bat. 1 sub 5 leaning chart. Cash line. Jamar Chase. Boom.
Yeah.
Move on and enjoy. All right. Denver, Jacksonville. Honestly, if you look at the 80 model, the projections, and the totals tool on windailysports.com, like the 80 model loves this Denver Broncos offense for touchdown equity today, which is kind of scary because the pace in this game is likely to be low. I think there may be some rain and whatnot. But to me, I'm okay if you play Bridgewater in GPP, pair him with the most chalky tight end on the slate outside of Tyler Higbee is Noah Fant. He's got pretty good props. I think his props at like 50 yards, 4.5 catches. I think juice is on the over there. So at 4,200 on DraftKings all day. But I'm honestly, between me and all you, I think the only people I'm going to play in this game is going to be Noah Fant and Javonte Williams. I wrote up Javonte Williams yesterday on DraftKings, especially at 4,400. The guy out-carried Melvin Gordon last week. I think it was a dead even 50-50 split. I just don't think there's anybody else at that price range. Chase Edmonds, you can go up at 4,900. That's pretty solid. Kenyon Drake's going to have a lot of value too at 4,900. But to me, the touchdown equity lives in that price range with Javonte Williams. And we could talk about Naeem Hines too, I guess, if you guys are into that. But a guy that's going to get 15 carries, almost guaranteed, if not more. And this could kind of be a blowout. We saw how bad Jacksonville was. The spread's pretty tight. I think it's only like -6 in Denver's favor here on the road, traveling across the country. So those are always kind of trap games. But I just think at 4,400, 15 carries locked in, there is not a better value play and very low ownership on Javonte Williams. Ghost, you think I'm getting too cute there, or does it make sense? What do you think?
No, it really does make sense because if you look at Melvin Gordon last week, 11 for 101 and a touchdown, 71-yard scamper to the house there. So 10 for 30 for Melvin Gordon, 3 yards per carry. Really not all that impressive. Did look really explosive on that 70-yard touchdown, but man, Javonte's the guy there. 14 carries for Javonte week 1. They're going to pound the rock in this game. I don't see how they don't. Outside of that, the thing that kind of makes me talk about this game a little bit is more so of a strategy standpoint, is to really split the slates today. And that your guys are going to see that we're talking a lot about these 4 p.m. games. And if you're on one of these 1 p.m. games, that's fine. Don't let us talk you off one of the games, but just play the 1 p.m. only slate, because there is so much ownership and so much scoring that's going to happen in these 4 p.m. games that you can't afford to stack this game on the main slate at all. I would just stick to the early only if you are stacking it. In this case, Noah Fant's the guy, Javonte, and I'll mention both wide receivers in Tim Patrick and Hamler as well. Look, the thing with these wideouts is that Denver's offense as a whole, doesn't matter if it's Drew Lock behind center, doesn't matter if it's Teddy Bridgewater, they run a ton of bubble screens when they get into that red zone, right? So if you're not playing Javonte, if you're not playing Fant, if you're not playing one or the other, don't be afraid to kind of end up pivoting, but staying in the same offense and going with one of Hamler or Patrick. I do lean Patrick. 5-yard bubble screen touchdowns has been his bread and butter for the past, 22 weeks heading into last season. So I really don't like this game at all for the main slate. On the early, there is good value there in the Denver wideouts.
You like Courtland Sutton at all? I need to hear it for season long because I drafted him everywhere. I was actually going to wear my Sutton jersey this morning, but he let me down so much last week. I got to give him 1 week before I put the jersey back on. Just kind of.
I really do like
he's
him.
Grounded.
Yeah, like I really like him. Both you and I are huge Cortland Sutton guys. Drafted him really high last season before that devastating season-ending injury there, of course. And then this year, getting him at his ADP was at least 3 to 4 rounds too low, in my opinion. But man, I really don't like this game at all, to the point where I'm not playing it. And
that's pretty much me too here.
It's more so that it's Cortland Sutton as an individual play. I really like it, but at 5.2 on DraftKings, I'd rather just get Jamar Chase at 5. You could even go Tyler Boyer or just stay in that Cincinnati offense in general. But I don't know. If you land on Cortland Sutton as your last guy in a flex spot, especially on DraftKings where it's PPR, that you could definitely do a lot worse.
Ooh, this is a really good question here. Season-long PPR. Need one. Debo, Jamar Chase, or Julio. Fuck, man, that's a really good team. Can you trade one of them? Try to get a trade before noon and get a running back or something in return. But I think you go with Debo or Jamar Chase. I think for PPR, Debo's going to be fed. So that'd be my guy a little bit. But Jamar Chase saw the most snaps out of these Cincinnati wide receivers last week, most air yards. And obviously you could see how just good of a route runner he was. So big year for him coming. But I'd say Debo and then just go Jamar Chase and DFS. And there you go. If they both have a good game, you're going to win somewhere. There you go. All right, Jimmy's question. Is the only feasible game stack from 1 p.m. Philly, San Fran? In my opinion, yes. And then if you wanted to play Josh Allen at 5% and Stephon Diggs at 5 to 10% ownership, I think you could certainly do that. That's a good way to get different. No one has the upside, or I guess Josh Allen can match the upside of any quarterback on any slate. But we'll get into this game right now. Philly, San Fran. We got a total, I think it's right at 50 points. San Fran is a 3-point favorite. Yeah, on the road, right? On the road at Philly, whose Philly offensive line looked amazing last week. I know Atlanta's defense sucks, but the one thing they can do is a pass rush, and Grady Jarrett there to stop the run, and they just ran wherever they wanted to. And obviously Dean Pease called a ton of cornerback blitz, exactly like Stobie said it would, how it would go down. But for me on this game, I think Jalen Hurts is a great play, cash game, GPP, whatever you want to do. But yeah, if you're playing that nude-only slate, I'd certainly start my builds with Jalen Hurts. And then I love Miles Sanders again this week. He was very, very efficient last week. I know he didn't get in the box. I think Gainwell stole his touchdown. But if this dude's going to be like 2 to 3% owned, because everybody's just going to Najee Harris, Chris Carson on this full slate here. And I think if you could pay and Zeke Elliott, I think if you could find a way to pay up to Miles Sanders, I think it's an absolute smash in larger field GPPs. If you want to eat the chalk in small field and cash, Miles Sanders is not a cash play for me at all. But, and then again, on this Philly side, I love Devonta Smith. I loved what I saw from him last week. I know it's only one game, but I'm buying in. He is such a good route runner. He should see a lot of open space here. I think San Fran should run a lot of cover 3. And Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert should do a ton of damage in the middle of the field there. And thoughts on Elijah Mitchell? Are you going back? Like, I thought at 5K, everybody would eat the chalk here, and there's no chalk. He's like 5% owned. And that blew my mind because I thought, just have such a good game he had. But it looks like the public all agrees with like everybody. All of us say the same thing. I don't think I want to touch the San Fran backfield. I think if you're doing 150 lineups, if you're one of those guys, Eli Mitchell's going to be in my pool, probably right at 5%. But I don't know what to expect. But he can also, Shanahan should ride the hot hand. Eli Mitchell looked awesome. I think Trey Sermon is active. And if you guys have any inactive news, we absolutely love to hear all that stuff because Ghost and I are just zoned in on this, so we really don't see the outside world for the next hour. But thoughts on this game at all? One, real quick, my secret to success today, and it was kind of the same as last week. I absolutely crushed it when any lineup that I played Travis Kelce because everybody went to Pitts. There's no Travis Kelce on this slate, and George Kittle is going to be 5 to 7% owned. That makes absolutely no sense for me. He's very affordable at 6,400. Philly's going to play a ton of man-to-man coverage. Drag routes for Kelce should be there. That's what they always like, or for Kittle should be there. Post routes in the end zone. I think George Kittle is the key to success. If you are playing a GPP, everybody in the world is going to have either Higbee, Noah Fant, or Jared Cook. Everybody's paying down. Doesn't matter if you eat the chalk on Herbert, Keenan Allen, this Dallas game that we'll talk about here. That's a great play. That game's awesome. Get the high equity players in those games, and that's all the guys I just mentioned. But if we're getting different with one player, if it's George Kittle, I absolutely love that. Ghost, thoughts here on George Kittle and the rest of this game?
I think most of the damage ends up happening for him in the second half, hopefully, when Trey Lance ends up coming into this game. I'm really not a Jimmy G guy at all. And getting arguably the softest matchup on the entire schedule last week with Detroit, he's going to have a hard time. As much as it pains me to say this, and I'm sure Brian's in the comments there that's going to end up saying Eagles, Cowboys. He knows I'm a Cowboys fan, but man, Philly looked really good in the trenches, both sides of the line, offensive line and their D-line. Their D-line has been quite good for X amount of years now. So that was not a surprise to me at all. But to see them hold that Atlanta front seven just the way that they did and give Hurts so much time. He wasn't running before the play developed. He when he was scrambling out of the pockets because he got through his first 2, 3, if not 4 reads before he was taken off. So, to have that much time, man, I don't know. I really do think that on the flip side with their D-line, I think Jimmy G really struggles today, and I think we do end up seeing a bit of Trey Lance. That's why I think George Kittle is going to be able to take off. But if you are punting DST today, Philly defense is it is one that's really on my radar. I know a lot of people are going to the Jets, battle of the rookie quarterbacks, but I'll side with Bill Belichick there to get the job done today. That's for sure. The Jets just don't do it for me. I'm willing to take a shot on Philly DST, but getting different with George Kittle today, and like you were saying, honestly, with no Travis Kelce, it should be automatic. It's Darren Waller, and it's Kittle. That's it. Everybody should be continuing the trend that we're paying up at tight end. I get it. Noah Fant's in a good spot. Tyler Higbee's in a half decent spot, and Stafford does like his tight ends. Obviously, developing rapport with TJ Hawkinson back when he was in Detroit, but like this whole Jared Cook thing and this and that, like I get it, but at what point does Herbert throw the ball 50 times today? Because Keenan Allen is getting 15 targets.
20.
That offensive line looked ridiculously good in week 1. They did some crazy work in this year's draft to give Herbert the time to unload that bazooka of an arm that he has. That opens the world up for Mike Williams. At what point are we playing a 40-year-old Jared Cook? Like it just doesn't do it for me. I rather go up to Kittle. If you are being different, it's interchanging these tight ends, and they're all within $300 of each other. Jared Cook's 39, Higbee's 41, and Font is 42, if I'm not mistaken. So why not be different? Go all the way up, 2.5K more, get George Kittle. You're essentially paying for a wide receiver 1 at the tight end spot.
Yes, there you go.
We did it last week with Travis Kelce in our cash games, and I couldn't stop laughing. When I saw Travis Kelce at 6% owned in our cash games, I could not stop laughing. That to me was just, it didn't make sense. So if that was the case in cash with a slate that had Travis Kelce on it, it's going to be the same, if not even lower ownership when it comes to George Kittle today. So I do like it. I'm just hoping that I see Trey Lance come into the game, because that's when I think that Kittle can do work.
I think he'll just do work in general. But yeah, I like you a ton there with Philly D. I think that's a great spot for them. As much as I love Kittle in lineups, I don't have Kittle. I think as low as I'm going is Philly D, or I guess the Jets too. Makes sense. But moving on, Buffalo, Miami. I think this total is actually going up too. If you see, you could probably catch a good number on the sportsbook here. But Rashad's question real quick. So you guys recommend early only instead of playing the main today? No, I absolutely love the main. And because like I can get different with Kittle. I need Kittle to get different in the main slate. So it depends on what you like. Like if you're all in on stacking San Fran Philly, I think that's great. I would do that in the noon early just so you don't get that afternoon variance of all these games with 55 point totals. Like it's wild. I don't think you really want to mess with that unless you're stacking those games. But those are also my favorite games too. Sometimes chalk is just good. So I'm going to go with that, but I need Kittle or someone, Miles Sanders, someone in these early games to get different. And I think that's a great way to do it. Buffalo, Miami, the forgotten man this week, Josh Allen. I was not on him at all last week. Miami's defense pretty good. You're going to see Xavier Howard cover Stephon Diggs. I think that's still advantage Diggs. You got any love for anybody in this game?
No, absolutely not. This game is not even on my radar at all, and that says a lot. That where I played Josh Allen every single week. This is just not a week for me to roster anybody in this game at all. It's really gross.
All right, I'm with it. I do like Mike Gesicki at that 4K range. If you like, assuming you stack up those afternoon games and you're looking, you're like, okay, all I can play is Font, Higbee, or Jared Cook. Mike Gesicki sitting there at 4K. I know we dropped a zero burger on us last week, but this is a much better matchup for him in the middle of this Buffalo, who plays a lot of zone. Mike Gesicki should have a very good day. The only concern here is I just don't think this game is going to be very paced high, and the total, but it is climbing. I think it's at 49 points now, or 40. Let's see, 48, pretty much across the board. So pretty good total, but when there's games like 54 and 55 out there, no one's going to remember this game. So if you're a Buffalo guy and you like Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, absolutely play it. You could run it back with Gesicki. Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle look really good. Waddle's only 4,500 on DraftKings. I think that's a really nice value. But other than that, I don't want anything to do with this game either. Moving on to Houston and Cleveland.
Gross.
I don't have anybody from Houston in my player pool. And the only guys from Cleveland I have I actually have a couple, but I made a rule that I could only use one of them in each lineup. Nick Chubb is an absolute home run spot. He'll probably be super, super chalky on FanDuel, and for good reason. The touchdown equity is through the roof. Kareem Hunt also in a good spot. If this game's a blowout, I don't see Nick Chubb playing a lot in the second half. I honestly don't see Kareem Hunt playing in the second half. I think they have, I forgot that rookie's name. Let me look that up, but they're going to dress for running backs today. And that kind of scares me because as much as it is a great spot for Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, if they're up 21, if they get up 4 scores somehow, those guys probably aren't going to see the field. Yeah, they do carry forward. Demetric Felton, he was a very good player in the preseason that I really liked watching. They still have Dearness Johnson. So to me, when I just look at a team that is going to bring 4 running backs in, I know Dearness and Felton both play special teams, so that makes sense too. But just rostering 4 running backs there scares me a little bit because if this game does get blowout potential, I don't think Cleveland's defense is that good. I know they just played KC, so anybody's going to make them look bad. But I don't know. I just got a weird feeling that, and Vegas has a weird feeling this game is going to be an absolute blowout. So I'm not on Chubb. I know Stobie loves Chubb. I'm going to have a little bit of him, but I'm scared that that's the guy that I'm fading. Any thoughts on this game at all?
We're in the same boat. Not surprisingly at all.
Like if Nick Chubb scores, he can go for 203, and I'm going to be dead if that happens. But
that's the thing, right? Like for me, it was just, do I get different by paying up for George Kittle at a very scarce position, or do I get different by, paying $1,500 to $2,000 more from Najee Harris and Carson and all these other running backs that we're playing to get up to a $7,800 Chubb? Look, I get it. He's kind of in between that CMC elite price range versus the 6K. Hey, these guys are really underpriced, but it just doesn't do it for me. I'm going up to another running back. It should surprise absolutely no one that's listening when I end up telling you which running back is going to be one of my favorite ones if you're paying up. But for me, I'm very underweight on Chubb this week. I don't see how this offense goes bonkers. I get it. It's a 13.5 point spread. They have an implied team total of, I saw it move up to 33.5, 34 on some books now. This is not an offense that you can look at them and say, yeah, that's an offense that's going to put up 35 points this week. It's really not. They don't have playmakers on the outside. Baker is not a guy that's going to go 404 like Dak is today. Like it's just, it doesn't make sense for me to roster people from this game, and because that would be the point where we're getting different in our lineups. If I'm paying up for someone, especially when we're getting different by paying up, I don't want somebody with a safe floor. I want someone to go bonkers, and for me, it's just that risk from going from Carson, Najee Harris, and all these other running backs that we've been talking about. I don't see it with Nick Chubb. And it's not to say that he's not going to go for 202 and bust off an 80-yard run on the very first possession of the game just to stick it to us for saying that. But I don't see it. I really don't. I'm not playing anybody from this game at all. I see some people on Donovan Peoples-Jones. I mean, I get it. You need Schwartz to be inactive for you to play DPJ today, in my opinion. If Schwartz is active, I'm not touching either one of them because
I like DPJ either way. I think the dude had like 77% of the snaps for Cleveland last week, even with Schwartz
ton of air
on the field.
Ton of air yards. But
yeah,
it's just, for me, it's like, I don't, again, it's in that case, we're playing a speedy wideout at 3K. And then it kind of flips the script for the people that are really playing Chubb, because if Baker's airing it out 80 yards to DPJ, this is a close game. If they're up by 14, up by 21, why are we playing Chubb if we're playing guys like DPJ? Because the only route that he runs is a go route, and he's taking it 75, 80 yards to the house. So that's where it's like we kind of have to pick our poison and really think, how does this game script flow? And for me, it's I can't get a good read on it. I don't know if Cleveland's going to win 28-0 or if they win on a last second field goal. Houston looked pretty pesky last week. I want nothing to do with this game at all.
Okay, I'm 100% with it. It's just such a good slate. I mean, if you want to play Chubb, I don't think any of us will talk you off of it. Stobie loves him. Go read his article on why he loves him. The guy knows how to watch offensive line, zone blocking, everything that Stefanski's going to do. The blowout potential scares me that they don't use Nick Chubb a whole lot. Chicago, Cincinnati. Kind of like this game. I had a really tough decision if I wanted to keep Joe Burrow in my player pool. I had to go with no. I only like to use like 6 quarterbacks because I get a very condensed pool when I do my 150s. But I love Joe Mixon. Again, the dude's going to touch the ball 30 times a game. You can't really say that about anybody else. I don't mind David Montgomery here. I think it's a really good price at 6.1K since he's run D looked awesome last week and they shut down the outside zone that the Kubiak boys run in Minnesota. And one of my favorite plays on the slate, his ownership went up a ton since I wrote my article yesterday, but Allen Robinson, man, Cincinnati plays a ton of man coverage, and that is going to be an absolute problem because Allen Robinson should get, I want 12 to 14 targets in this game. Give me 7 catches, 90 yards, touchdown. You get 100. We get that 3-point bonus. That would be awesome, but he's just way too cheap. This is a dude that gets an expected target share of 30% of all the passes, and that's target share. So speaking in circles here, and he's priced at 62K. He should be right up there with Keenan Allen at 7K. I know the matchup probably inflated Keenan Allen a little bit here, his price, but 6.2K for Allen Robinson. He's absolutely cash viable. He's GPP viable. This is another way to get different. If you're stacking Dallas, LA, stacking Seattle, Tennessee, stacking Atlanta, Tampa Bay, one of those afternoon games we're going to talk about, great way to get different is just get a little one-off with Allen Robinson, run it back with Jamar Chase if you want. He's just way too cheap. And I always like Tyler Boyd, but I'm worried about Tyler Boyd's workload a little bit now that Jamar Chase is there because they certainly have history with Burrow, but Tyler Boyd at 4.7K on DraftKings is way too cheap. The pace should be decent in this Bears game. I think the total's like 45, 46. Let me find out. But you have any thoughts on this game at all? I just want like little pieces. I love Mixon, then I love running a little mini stack with Robinson. I like David Montgomery, run it back with Chase, or I like using Robinson and Chase. Like that's simple as that. And then Cole Kmet is a honorable mention punt tight end because this dude is a baller and they are going to get him the football and he should score a touchdown today.
Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. Pretty much everyone that I was going to talk about there. I think we do see a bit more Justin Fields this week, especially against a weaker Cincinnati front seven. Now he's not going to get his career ended in his very first game going up against Aaron Donald there. So this is a much easier game for him to transition to the league. And I think that we do end up seeing a little bit. I don't think that he's going to play an entire game. Obviously, we know that Dalton's still starting there. So I really like Allen Robinson in this spot, especially with everybody playing Cooper Kupp at 6K. I don't see how he comes in.
Go to Robinson. That's
Robinson. The thing, right? So for both, I'd like to think that for both of us, we're on the same page with this one there, where at one point, the ownership is going to come down on Allen Robinson, especially in GPPs, because people are playing Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp. Like there's only so much love to go around at the same position in the same price bracket. All of those guys are between 6 and 7K that I just named. Allen Robinson is just sitting there at 62. So for me, I think he's going to be the odd man left out, come in under 10%. And you get a guy that's going to get peppered with targets in a game that, believe it or not, I think Chicago is going to be chasing points in this one. That Cincinnati offense is explosive. So you know what? I think that Chicago is going to be chasing points, see a bit of Justin Fields in this one. And Allen Robinson goes off today. Great matchup for him on the outside. 12 plus targets. He's going 10, 90, and 1 today.
Oh, let's get the 100. Just say 101. I want the 3-point bonus.
We'll go 10, 101. We'll give him the Melvin Gordon stat line from last week. 11, 101, and 1. There we go. So we'll take that.
All right.
11, 101, and 1 for Allen Robinson today. Do not play. I'm really disappointed with everybody playing Cooper Kupp again and again and again.
Dude.
It's so gross. I get it. The disrespect to Bobby Forrest is just I do not like it. Robert Woods is
20% ownership on
it's
Cooper
gross.
Kupp.
It's really gross.
Oh.
So Allen Robinson is a perfect pivot. If you can't get the $200, just If it means you have to play a defense that is going to allow 35 points just to get from Cup and Allen Robinson, I'd still recommend to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to that LA game real quick. All right, actually, real quick, Cincinnati, Chicago, I think both their defenses are viable. We don't like to talk about defense, but
yeah,
if you want to play them, the actually total's only at 44.5, so pretty low and should be tons of turnover equity with Andy Dalton on the field. The Rams, 20% owned Cooper Kupp. I know I wrote about how bad the secondary is for Indianapolis, but dude, the recency bias cannot be higher on Cooper Kupp. One, if you just go look at his stat line and take away the broken play that the Bears just allowed him to go get a 60-yard touchdown. Like, he's not fast. How the fuck do you get Cooper Kupp I had the under on Cooper Kupp's yards last week, and it would have hit without that stupid ass broken play. So I'm a little fired up, but 20% ownership. Cooper Kupp is out of my player pool. I will not have one lineup with Cooper Kupp in it. On the other side, I think Nyheim Hines, I don't, but I know some of our writers. I know Adam's high on him. I think Sia mentioned him as well. Maybe Stobie. Are you? I saw Tullock right when we started the show. Are you guys on Nyheim Hines?
Not gonna lie, I will take credit for that one. That was me.
You can be. I'm not gonna make fun of you.
Yeah, that was me 6 days ago. I obviously the guys texted me when Jalen Reagor scored because I was so fired up. Oh my god. And then they were like, "Okay, well, who is it for week 2 already?" So I ended up getting back to them the next day, and for me, it's Nyheim Hines. That's my guy this week. Different position. Usually, I give a speedy wideout. I know a lot of people like that kind of thing, and we nailed it with Jalen Reagor in week 1. Not a speedy wideout, but a half decent speedy running back there in Nyheim Hines. And you know what? For me, it was just the way that LA ran that defense. They were so aggressive, beyond aggressive in that game. And Carson Wentz is just as bad as Andy Dalton. So for me, I don't see how they fall under a 30% blitz rate again. Now we're talking about a wide receiver corps made up of Pittman, Pascal, Paris Campbell, who seems
are
to
those
play,
dudes playing, by the way? Does anybody have an injury report?
Right? So
we're 2 minutes away from injuries.
Even if they do play, I was on Hines before because it was 6 days ago. It was maybe Monday or Tuesday. So this was before the Pittman, Pascal, everyone hit the injury report there. I was still on Hines. And now if they're out, it just solidifies it even more for me. So 30+% blitz rate for LA in week 1. I don't see how it goes down anymore. Carson Wentz is going to be shaking in his boots there. It's going to be it's going to be checked down Charlie the entire. And on top of that, they're chasing points. They can't be running the football. Who you run? You're going to run up the gut against Aaron Donald. There's no chance. There's literally no chance. Aaron Donald will eat up your O-line. There's no chance. They're not running the ball.
I like Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor.
No, don't tell me.
You could run it right at Donald. The same thing that people do on the Bears. Khalil Mack's old and pretty washed up now, but if you run right at him, David Montgomery ran it down his throat, man. Their offensive line is terrible. Indy's offensive line is good. I think one guy is injured. I should have had the injury reports up. My bad. That's what Sia's for here. Sia, you're our injury guy. You heard it here first. We need you. I don't love Jonathan Taylor, but he's going to be. I'm sorry to steal your thunder here. He's going to be like 1% owned. I will have 5 lineups with Jonathan Taylor in that 150 just because it makes a lot of sense, and I'll be running it back with Bobby Trees. Robert Woods has the best matchup on this field on the inside, and he's going to go outside. See Rock Ya-Sin. Ooh, that's a problem because Rock Ya-Sin is slow and cannot handle, in and out routes, and that's everything that Robert Woods
handle
does.
Anything that's not a straight line.
Yeah, but how is Cooper Kupp 20% owned? Robert Woods is 5 to 7% right now. I'm seeing.
What's your mini stack in this game? What's your mini stack?
Jonathan Taylor and Robert Woods.
Okay.
Because Tyler Higbee is out of my player pool. I know that may not be as good of an idea. Like Higbee's in a really good spot here. He's really cheap, and it's just I don't want to use him or Font that much. I'll play more Font than Higbee. I just don't see how Indy scores in this game and keeps the pace, and I think that LA runs it 30 times, and we finally get to see a little bit of Sony Michel today. So I don't like Henderson either for that matter.
We have a similar mini stack. Mine's just a different Indy running back.
That's fair. I know. I get you.
I'm also playing Robert Woods. So
you guys, yeah, good. As long as it's Robert Woods, but you guys like Hines, and I'm sure I'm going to eat that one when he goes for 16, 17 points because at 4,700, that's just way too cheap.
The thing is that now we're talking. Am I? By the way, for those that play on FanDuel, I'm not playing Nyheim Hines there, and I have Nyheim Hines in The player that I have the most exposure to outside of all my Dallas Cowboys, of course, is Nyheim Hines. So, and I'm playing 0 of him on FanDuel. It's that full PPR edge for me. Carson Wentz, 15 targets combined to, I don't even want to say running backs. It was Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines, 15 targets. Nyheim Hines, double-digit carries. It's going to say 9 on the box score. I was watching the game. One of them got called back on a flag. Double-digit carries, 15 targets to 2 running backs. On top of the fact that Nyheim Hines was the guy that was in the game when they were trailing 28 to, I think they were down 28-10 or 28, whatever it was, to Seattle. Man, Nyheim Hines is my guy this week at 4,700. I'm not going to have many lineups with running backs above $5,000.
Okay. I like that. I think that alone is good advice. All right. Let's move on to New England and the Jets.
It's
gross game. I think both defenses are in play. If you can find a way to New England, like Belichick just destroys rookie quarterbacks. So I think that's a really good move. I think they went for 30 points last year. This was that week I won that live final last year, or won the live final ticket, was when I played the Patriots defense at the Chargers, and they went for 30 points. So Belichick against a rookie, I think that was all I used to like handicap that. I was like, Belichick against a rookie, let's do it. Damian Harris, I think, is in a really good spot. He did fumble last week, but so did Ramondre Stevenson, and this is just not a game script. They're going to need a ton of James White on, so I think Damian Harris is a really good play. Don't mind Jacoby Myers at 5K. They had 0% ownership. So if you want a couple lines with Jacoby, all in all, I just don't want exposure to this game. But he's really cheap, and if Jamar Chase is going to be really popular for some reason, you like Jacoby Myers. If you're a East Coaster or a big Boston guy, play Jacoby Myers. But that is it for me. I don't like anybody else in this game. I will not touch it yet besides the defense.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on Jacoby Myers. Pretty much same thing, leading the team in targets. Saw a good chunk of his snaps out of the slot too there. So good matchup, whether he's on the outside, good matchup in the slot. And this is also a little draft day duel, right? Wilson going at 2, Mac Jones going at 15, little chip on his shoulder coming into this one. So give me the Patriots. I do think they even cover the 5.5. I think they win by a touchdown, but I'm not playing anybody from this game at all. If you are, it's kind of like the same thing with Courtland Sutton. If your last man in is Jacoby Myers or Courtland Sutton or one of these guys at 5K, you could definitely do a lot worse.
You like Damian Harris at all or no? Just for like 5,400 for a running back that's likely to get 20 carries.
I do. The only reason why I don't have a lot of them is just because it would be that time where you make the perfect lineup and you're like $200-$300 short, and Damian Harris would always be the guy that I would come off of to get to Javonte and Nyheim Hines. So
yeah, okay.
That's the only reason why I don't have a ton, but I really do like him there, especially when, no one's really playing Javonte, no one's playing Nyheim Hines. He's 1% owned. So I feel like a lot of people are just automatically going into that 6K range. So that's pretty big. I still think the Saints trounced the Panthers, but that is pretty big.
Let's go right to that game. Let's go to New Orleans, Carolina, and then you see Sia's beautiful headshot here. There's just not a better looking person in the world. So Sia, shout out to you for being beautiful, and thank you for that news on Marcus Lattimore. I think
no Mims for the Jets either. That's not that we're on that game, but that's really gross.
No Mims either.
No Mims, no Crowder. Yeah.
Well, if you want to play Elijah Moore, feel free. But moving on to Saints at Carolina. This is a pretty tight spread here too. I think it's only 4 points. You got any love for any of these quarterbacks? I'll let you kick this game off.
No. I think the Saints D absolutely eat up Sam Darnold. I don't know how it's only 3.5. I didn't touch it because it smelled like a trap. But man, oh man, Sam Darnold refused to throw the football last week. And now a lot of people are saying DJ Moore and Robbie Anderson and our boy Terrace Marshall from last week, who Darnold refused to hit him in the end zone when there was nobody within 20 feet of him. There was nobody within 20 feet of the man.
I'm pissed about that one.
To hit him in the end zone. I was so frustrated, and I don't know if Tulok's still in the chat, but I even texted Brian and Adam. I was like, "Is this guy gonna throw the ball past the line of scrimmage?" It was just check down to McCaffrey every single time. I'm pretty sure McCaffrey finished like 10 for 90 in receiving. Like it was out of control. So that's it, Nyheim Hines time. But It's just I don't see how he's going to be able to survive Marcus Davenport and the rest of that Saints front seven. They looked amazing against Green Bay. I don't know. I really don't like this Carolina offense today at all. I like a little Kamara action paired with Saints DST as a little combo, but again, it's paying up at all these wide receiver spots. And if we're talking about getting George Kittle, there's no way you're getting a guy like Alvin Kamara in your lineup. But and when you're making, 3 maxes or you end up making just another lineup, Kamara would be a guy that I do want to have some exposure to today. I really like that combo between them and the Saints DST.
Any love for McCaffrey? Got to talk about Christian McCaffrey a little bit.
I do like it. I'm so invested with McCaffrey on the book that I didn't feel a need to play him in DFS. So I kind of hedged it that way. Okay. But seeing his receiving prop this week, I don't know what it's at right now because I took it on Tuesday. It was at 39.5. The guy just went 9 for 90. And he got 20 carries on top of that. It wasn't like he wasn't running the football and he's only catching. The guy had 20 carries and he caught 10 footballs. It was out of control. So seeing that, especially with Marcus Davenport coming off the edge there against Sam Darnold, McCaffrey's going to catch a ton of balls. They're going to be chasing points too. I do like McCaffrey. It's just I'd rather go to the other side of the same game and get Alvin Kamara. I don't think Jameis has to necessarily air it out as much as he did in that first week, because that first week at any point in time, Rodgers can turn up the gas and just absolutely light you on fire. They could score in 3 straight possessions in a matter of 8 minutes. So that's where they had to keep the pedal on the gas. But with Carolina, not to say that they're not going to keep the pedal on the gas, still a professional football game, but I don't think that Jameis has to throw it as much. So I really like Kamara. I think they're going to manage the clock and force Sam Darnold to make plays on offense, which he's simply not capable of making.
Yeah, no, and Ramondre Stevenson is out. Thanks, William, for sharing that. That's awesome. Damian Harris, I think, is one of the best values on the slate now at 5,400. It wasn't like Stevenson was ever going to take that many carries away from him. So it's just because Stevenson doesn't play special teams is how I look at that. But I will give you a good one right now. Someone that will go for 100 yards, that will score a touchdown today, that everybody played last week and we told you not to. I will tell you to play this week, and that is Marquez Callaway. 4,200, 2% ownership, so nothing. No one's going to play him at 4,200. That is a absolute steal for a dude that makes a living on beating cover 3 defense, which is what Carolina's going to run most of the day. Marquez Callaway goes nuts today at that price, and it is just anti-recency bias. Everybody's on him last week. They're done. Not if you listen to the show. We told you to fade the hell out of them and play Terrace Marshall and Jason.
We didn't even play him in cash, and he was 60% owned.
Yep, it was a bad play. Didn't make sense. Today, it makes a ton of sense against the cover 3. And if you could make the meme guy Ghost, it may be Callaway today, but we'll talk offline. And I think I got another one too. But Marquez Callaway is going to go nuts today, and no one's going to play him. If you want to run a little Marquez Callaway and McCaffrey mini stack or something in this game, by all means, let's do it. And then to Jason real quick. Jason on the Win Daily show last night on Sirius XM said Terrace Marshall busted for us. He did not, because he should have had that touchdown. That was the best 3K play on the board last week, and we were right. Just Darnold messed it up. So don't blame our boy Terrace Marshall, who's always in a good spot, pretty high on our value meter as well right now on the projections. Next game. Las Vegas and Pittsburgh.
You want to give everyone your 14 or 16 to 1 touchdown score in that Saints game?
Oh, well, no, it's not in the Saints game.
Is it not?
No, he's on Arizona. We'll get to that in a second.
I gotta go back.
You're good.
I know you gave up like 2 or 3 of them this week. I lost track.
I didn't have
Van Jefferson first time touchdown score, opening play of the game, goes 80 yards. You better believe I'm hammering all 3.
Well, in everybody's defense, I never said first touchdown. I just said anytime touchdown. But I did call that a month ago, not just last week. Moving on. Las Vegas, Pittsburgh. I will be up front. I don't like Kenyon Drake that much for Las Vegas. I think he's going to be around 10 to 15% owned. I get it, though. On DraftKings, he's a fine play with the pass-catching ability. I don't think you want to mess with it on FanDuel. Pittsburgh, I think Ben Roethlisberger stacked up with Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson, or if you want to use Juju, is excellent GPP leverage against a 25% owned Najee Harris. I don't understand the love for Najee Harris, but I think in cash you just have to lock it and move on. thoughts on Najee Harris? This offensive line sucks, and Las Vegas' run D is not that bad. Like, I know everybody's like, okay, look at the box scores last week. That's Baltimore Ravens. They run for 6 yards a carry every single year. That's just what that offense does.
It doesn't matter who's in the backfield.
Yeah, Pittsburgh looked awful. I know Najee Harris played 100% of the snaps again, cash play, but in GPPs, I don't like it. I don't like him at all in GPPs. I'd rather find a way to Sanders or go up to Mixon, or obviously Carson's chalk I will eat, but do you like Najee Harris at all?
I do, not enough to eat that in GPP because I'm going to have too much ownership in my lineup that way. It just doesn't work out. I'm not taking out any part of my core stack. They're already drawing ownership, and then I'm playing Chris Carson, who's drawing ownership. I have to. Yep. I can't have 5 to 6 guys that are, either really chalky or just pulling over 15% for me to justify the rest of my lineup. Even with a 1% on Nyheim Hines, it's not enough for me to be different. So that's where I was saying I'm not playing a running back over 6K in my main GBP. If I am, it's Chris Carson. It's not Najee Harris. That's the way that it is. I'm getting exposure to that Tennessee-Seattle game with the best wide receiver in all of football. Obviously, at only 7,100. I don't know how he's only 7,100. He should be like 15K every single week because he's the best wide receiver in football, but that's okay. We'll gladly play him at 7,100 this week, but I can't play Najee in GBP. I just can't do it. My main stack is already half decently owned. I can't do it. In cash, you have to eat it. In cash, it's Carson and Najee Harris together. Like if you play any other running back, you're really playing with fire there. So for me, it's Carson and Najee Harris in cash. Yeah, exactly. You could play a third as well, but for me, it's Carson and Najee in cash, and that's it. That's my exposure to them. It's just I'll eat the chalk in cash games. I'm not touching it in GBPs. I really like Chase Claypool today. I think Claypool's.
I like Big Ben, man. Big Ben and these two Pittsburgh wide receivers and run it back with, I don't know, and run it back with Drake, I guess would be the right thing, because I don't want to play Darren Waller unless it's on the early only slate. But I think if you go early only slate, Big Ben is going to be a cash cow, and just don't play Najee Harris in that lineup, because everybody in the early only, everybody in the main is going to play Najee Harris. Everybody in the early only is going to play him. Touchdown variance. We talked about it last week. If those touchdowns go in favor of Big Ben's arm, everybody with Najee just sits there and you just skyrocket the field. That is something I absolutely love to do in this early only slate, is backing up Pittsburgh.
We have seen that countless times with Chase Claypool inside the 5. Very similar to what we said last week, which did happen twice with Adam Thielen taking away 2 touchdowns from Dalvin Cook inside the 5. Chase Claypool is that guy for Pittsburgh, and I really do like him in this spot. I'm not playing any Kenyon Drake. I didn't buy the hype in the preseason. I'm not buying it in this game. They could have only dressed Kenyon Drake in the backfield. I would still not play him. He couldn't out-carry Chase Edmonds last year. And now he's supposed to be a threat to Josh Jacobs. And even when Josh Jacobs is inactive, he's supposed to carry the load. He couldn't carry the load with Chase Edmonds behind him. Why would he carry the load in any offense, period? That's not who Kenyon Drake is. So for me, that's a quick 15% owned player right out of my player pool altogether. At 4,900, I'm going back down to Javonte again. The touchdown equity is there. The carries are there. Vegas might be chasing points in this one for quite some time. They will end up chasing points, but it might be for longer than they expect. I don't see the Kenyon Drake id factor this week at all. That's a quick out on my player pool. Very, very quick.
So if you're doing this noon only or early only, I guess I can't say noon for all you East Coasters out there. Whatever. It's noon here.
It's noon.
Who's your run back? Do you like the Pittsburgh stack at all? I think it's the best GPP leverage on that early only slate there is playing that guy.
I do like it, especially with everyone playing Najee, because you're not gonna. Well, at least. I don't want to say logically, it's not to sound mean, but like you wouldn't play a Pittsburgh stack with Big Ben, Deontay, and Chase Claypool with Najee Harris. That doesn't work. So everyone's playing Najee. They're automatically crossing off Pittsburgh passing offense off their board. So for me, you're getting, like, everyone's saying, okay, Najee's in a good game script. He's going to get a ton of carries. And yeah, okay, I get that. But in the very same game, Ben's going to throw the ball 35 times. All you need is a touchdown to swing your rate. That's literally all you need, because we know Ben's going to throw the ball 35 times. That's just that's what that offense is. They're going to be out there for many possessions. So I really do like that stock today.
Let's go. All right. That's going to be 0% owned across the board. So it's one of my favorites this week. Moving on. Afternoon games. Here we go. Minnesota, Arizona. What are your thoughts on this game? I think Kyler's always in play. D-Hop's always in play. AJ Green was second on the team in snaps last week. So as everybody goes to pay up for Christian Kirk because he scored twice, recency bias, great. Rondell Moore, I guess, is in an all right spot as well because that price point. But I just don't like this game very much at all, but if I do like AJ Green as a one-off at 3,700. If I can't get up to Marquez Callaway at 4,200, who's a core play for me this week. Other than that, I just don't like this game that much. But if you're like, it's hard not to love Kyler. Kyler's going to be 5% owned on the slate, has the highest upside of anybody on the slate. Now that there's no Lamar, there's no Patrick Mahomes. If you want to put all your chips in this game, I think by all means you're in a great spot to get different. I just personally didn't this week, but I could be dead wrong here. I think this is an excellent spot for Kyler Murray. Minnesota's defense is terrible. Cincinnati just tore them up, so I don't get why people aren't on it. I don't get why I'm not on it. Honestly, now when the show's over, I'm probably going to go build more Kyler and get rid of some guys. But run it back with Dalvin Cook, man. Dalvin Cook's going to be under 10%. I know Arizona just shut down Tennessee, but Tennessee's O-line looked really bad last week, and then Arizona just couldn't stop scoring. So they kind of game scripted Derrick Henry out of that game. Tennessee wanted to keep getting the ball. It just wasn't the game script for them. If Minnesota can keep this close, Dalvin Cook is in a awesome spot to break the slate, and using Kyler D-Hop on the other side, I don't think you necessarily need to double stack with Kyler because we roster Kyler for his legs. And I think this game is going way under the radar. And I kind of like it a ton now, as much as I did not think about it much earlier in the week. Thoughts on this game?
If you didn't talk yourself into it, I was hoping that I would be able to because I really like this game. I really do. I don't think there's a quarterback in the league that has as high of a touchdown equity of his offense than Kyler Murray. I don't think this season that obviously it's not gonna be truthfully 100%, but Kyler has as close to 100% of the touchdown equity as there is. Last year, we saw a glimpse of it, but they were force-feeding the ball to Kenyon Drake. They were force-feeding the ball to Edmonds at the goal line, trying to get these rushing touchdowns. And then it would be a 3rd and goal inside the 3. Kyler would run an RPO and just waltz into the end zone. No problem. Now they're doing that right off the bat. So you know that he's either doing it through the air or he's doing it with his legs in the red zone. And that, for me, is exactly what I want with a quarterback. Even when I'm as high as I am on Dak Prescott this week, he's in my main lineup right now. I was thinking about switching it to Kyler because Dak is not – it's not. You can't even say that it will be a vulture if Zeke scores 3 times this week. That would just be the nature of Zeke Elliott and what he's been doing throughout his entire career. So I really do like this game. You know exactly where the touchdowns are going. I think Dalvin Cook goes bonkers today. Absolutely nuts. And this is why when I was saying before, when I'm not playing Nick Chubb, this is why. If I'm paying up for a running back, I want Dalvin Cook, and I want another guy in another game that everybody knows that I play every single week. The guy that won you, pretty sure it was well over 6 figures, and his jersey's hanging there over your left shoulder. That for me is the guy. Wait, no, the other left. Yeah, I thought it was mirrored. Anyways, whatever shoulder it is, it's back there. It's back there beside the legendary Fulte. So for me, this game, we're talking about these 4 p.m. games, and there's 2 in particular that really stand out. But the other 2 are not really other 2s to me. Those are just as viable, and I really do like the Tampa Bay Atlanta game, and I really do like the Minnesota Arizona game. The main reason why is because I get Kyler with D-Hop, run it back with Dalvin, or run it back with someone that's really cheap like a Osborne. You could run it back with Adam Thielen if you're not playing Dalvin. But again, like I was saying last week, for him to do work, it's touchdowns inside the 5, and I think it's Dalvin's week this week, so I'm not playing Adam Thielen. You want to get Justin Jefferson in there, I'm cool with any one of them. If you need the punt, Osborne's just as viable because I do think Minnesota is going to be chasing points for quite some time in this game. And then you could just you could end up stacking the other games just as well. You could go Amari with CD and run it back with Keenan Allen. You could go Godwin and Mike Evans and run it back with Pitts or Ridley. You can go to the Ole Miss duo in A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf, which I absolutely love today. And I can't wait to talk about that game because I know you like it too. The rest of your lineup stays the same. So that's why I really like making this one, because everyone thinks of their main stack as quarterback, wide receiver with a run back option. This one's your mini stack is including your quarterback, which makes it really different, on top of the fact that you're playing a game that nobody's playing.
I love it, man. That's an excellent analysis, and I loved Alvin Cook today as well. I think that's a great call. Again, 5% own Kyler Murray, guys, and an under 10% own Dalvin Cook. It's in this afternoon slate, and no one's talking about it. I think that's a great spot. Atlanta, Tampa Bay, absolute blowout factor potential here. I don't think I'm going to use a lot of Tom Brady just because I think they're going to sit on the ball a lot, but it's hard not to like all of these pass catchers for Tampa Bay. I just can't choose which one. I think Antonio Brown's probably my favorite at 6K. Mike Evans is in a perfect bounce back spot at 6.1K, and no one's going to play him. Everybody's going to go to, again, the recency bias of Chris Godwin. Great matchup for him too. Like, it's just Atlanta's defense sucks. We saw it last week. We saw it all last year. We saw it all the year before that. It is what it is. And my favorite tight end play of the day that is not named George Kittle is Mr. Kyle Pitts at 4% ownership when he was 50% owned last week.
From 40
what is going
to
on?
4.
Same with I love Callaway and I love Kyle Pitts. Like, they're chasing 14 points according to Vegas in this game. They're going to be down early because they can't stop a nosebleed. Kyle Pitts is going to get 10 plus targets. He's at 5,200 on DraftKings. It's an absolute smash play. He gets red zone targets too. I would not be surprised if Kyle Pitts is number 1 or number 2 overall tight end scorer on this board. Him and George Kittle exact a box. That is my bet of the day, but I don't think any sportsbook takes that. But that'd be cool. Let's create an app, exact a box for overall point scores or something for all you horse gamblers out there like me. But yeah, thoughts on this? I'm not playing Gronk, maybe 1 or 2 lineups. So I can't do it. I'm not going back to him. And not at that price. Just doesn't play enough snaps for me, but Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts are an excellent chasing point spots here, and that's about it for me. But Kyle Pitts, love him.
The one reason why I like this game, do you have the pricing grid up by any chance?
Sure do. What do you need?
Can you read out Dak's price on the only DraftKings?
Dak Prescott's price, certainly. 6,800.
Tom Brady's 69. Amari Cooper's 68, and Chris Godwin's 66. CD's 64, Mike Evans is 61, and Antonio Brown is 6K. You can keep your exact same lineup and just make the swap for your main stack to be Tampa Bay. They cannot run the football until they commit to the run, which is going to be never. They're never going to be able to run the football. Tom Brady's going to do work, and if you're running it back with Pitts or Ridley, this game could go nuts. This game can go absolutely crazy. As long as Matt Ryan didn't take tequila shots to the dome like he did last week, or he didn't know how to throw the football, I'm telling you, this game can go nuts. Because last week he looked so bad, and our Philadelphia main stacks would have taken down every single tournament if Pitts and Ridley finished 3 for 40 on the first drive. Pitts was wide open so many times, and he couldn't hit him. This is the week where Matt Ryan gets his head out of you-know-where, throwing the football, moving chains downfield. Tom Brady's coming back. I really do like this game. Everybody is the exact same price as that Dallas game, as the Chargers offense, cheaper than the Titans and Seahawks offenses. I really like this game considering no one's playing it. You have a 6.1K Mike Evans going against 2 of our favorite cornerbacks to pick on that play on the same team. A 6'4", 225 Mike Evans. That is rattled that he is the only player that didn't score last week.
There you have it. Let's move on to the next game. Are you on Kyle Pitts as much as I am, though? I just want to know that.
I do.
Or is it not your guy?
I do. I just, as crazy as it sounds, I don't want to play guys like Font this week. I really don't, because if I'm eating 20% ownership, I would have thought it would have been Darren Waller and George Kittle on a slate that has no Travis Kelce. I'm eating 20% ownership on a guy that on Noah Font. Really?
Yeah,
Like
no,
it's just
no
like
thanks.
it's not nothing against him and his game, but just man, like it's not Darren Waller, it's not George Kittle. They're not going to go 15 for 150 and a touchdown. Like it's no fun. Like in a medium case scenario where he doesn't do really bad, but he doesn't do really great. He's going 5 for 50? Like okay, I can do without 10 points. The Pitts can score more than 10. George Kittle could score 10 in the first quarter. So for me, I really do like Pitts.
Pitts is going for 15 plus.
They're chasing points. If Tampa Bay starts with the ball, they're chasing points all 60 minutes.
That is the meme guy play of the week is Kyle Pitts. So I need that meme whenever you're free.
There we go. Yeah, I'll make it now. I'll make it now when we talk
designer,
about.
Yeah.
Are we on to your favorite game?
No, we are going to Dallas and the Chargers. Honestly,
game.
guys, everybody in this game is in play. Like there's just Dak Prescott, incredible play. Justin Herbert, incredible play. I like to find ways to get off of chalk, but it's not in this game. I think getting off the chalk would be, again, Noah Fant, don't understand it. Tyler Higbee, don't like that. Jared Cook, don't love it, but it gets you exposure to this game. So I'm all for getting cheap exposure to this game. If it's not your core stack, I think every lineup you build should have one Charger and one Dallas contributor to it. I'm sorry, I just don't think – I think this game's going to score 70 points. So whether your main stack's Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Arizona, or San Fran, Philly earlier, I don't think you're going to main stack anything else. Or if you go to Tennessee, Seattle, I think you need to make a priority to get one guy on Dallas, one guy on LA, and just make sure that you're getting exposure. And every possession of that game, your lineup can just keep getting points. That's what I would make sure you do, because when this game goes apeshit, and it will, you need to have a part of it. I don't think it has to be your main stack, but it certainly could be, and I would not talk you off of it. Keenan Allen, best wide receiver play on the slate. Unfortunately, he's going to be 20% owned. I put him at 40% in my 150s. CeeDee Lamb, incredible play. Same situation there. Amari Cooper, same situation there. There's no Chris Harris today. It's just going to be a shootout. Mike Williams is way too cheap on FanDuel, 5,700. He's more of a touchdown equity type of guy, as Keenan Allen's more of a volume guy. But Mike Williams ran a lot of different routes last week. I rewatched that game, and just because you know me with Mike Williams, always Mike Williams, and I didn't play him last week, so I did quit him last week, but this is a guy I always played last year, but he was 4,500 last year, like way too cheap. Now they finally got the respect, 6.1K. I think Lombardi just figured out this guy needs to run more routes than just a go route. Use his big body, go on the inside, kind of box out like in basketball. You're going to get a rebound. You can't get around Mike Williams if he gets the right footing and positioning on the defender. Just can't be done. And then the cheap punt guys, Cedric Wilson's going to be 10% owned. I don't love that, but he's 3.1K, and it gets you exposure to this game, so I'm okay with it. He's got a 3.5 catch prop. I think his yardage is right around 40. If Vegas is right, that's 8-9 points. That's going to be 3x value. So I think, again, if it's cheap exposure, maybe you just go Keenan Allen, and then on the Dallas side, you go Cedric, just to make sure that every possession your lineup is getting targeted in the passing game, whether or not Cedric's not a high equity guy in that game, but he's going to run a ton of routes. Gallup always had a really good role in that offense. So the 3 wide that they always go, like Cedric's going to be out there. He's a good player. And then Jalen Guyton is 0% owned on the other side, similar to Cedric Wilson, not as heavy as a role because they don't play 3 wide as much because they use Eckler in the passing game. I know they did not last week. That will change. But everybody's in play. Jared Cook, Dalton Schultz. Is there anything else to say about this game? Like, it's just Zeke Elliott. Like, whatever you want to do, get exposure to this game somehow. If it's your main stack, get after it. And one YOLO play I will have in large field tournaments, I'm going to play a little bit of Tony Pollard because he's 0% owned. He's better than Zeke Elliott. And everybody loves this game, so I want a little Tony Pollard. I bet you he's going to score a touchdown today too. But yeah, Marquez Callaway or Kyle Pitts over 18 points is the meme guy this week.
Over 18 points? I was just about to ask you, what am I putting at?
18.
All right. So this is I saw a few people asking what my main lineup is. It is this game for obvious reasons. I'm a Cowboys fan, and just this game is going to hit. Totals at 55.5. That's time I've seen it. It's going to hit 56 by halftime. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I'm playing all the big dogs in this one. I don't want Cedric Wilson. I don't want. I just. There's no way Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb don't combine for 300 yards today. They're both going to get 12 to 15 targets each. Amari Cooper is just, we've been saying this for, I don't even want to say off season. It was even before that. Everyone's hyping up CeeDee Lamb, and I get it. He's really good. Amari Cooper is still in his prime. The guy's like 27 years old. And Dak has targeted him in double digits going back to last season, which I hate doing over season trends, but every single game of the 5 that he played last season and week 1, double-digit targets for Amari Cooper. Dak loves throwing the ball to Amari Cooper. So for me, if you're playing a piece of this game and you're only getting one, for me, it is 100% Amari Cooper on the Dallas side and Keenan Allen on the Chargers side. I think this game is going to go absolutely nuts. So for me, it is going to be my main stack. I take Dak over Herbert just because he has the legs, and I think that Austin Eckler is more involved in his offense than Zeke will be in Dallas's offense, just because I think Dallas might end up chasing points. I think they come out with the win, but I think they'll be chasing points for a little bit where, Dak checked out of 12 or 14 runs I saw in week 1. So he's coming back. He's gunning for quite the season there. And I think he gets the job done today against the sophomore QB and Herbert. The only guy that I'm not playing from this game, believe it or not, is Eckler, which I was kind of hoping that he would have higher ownership than he is right now. It's kind of, it's in check. It's not down to 1%, but it's in check compared to everyone else in this game. 0 targets for Austin Eckler in week 1. I don't know if that surprised you, but it really surprised me. 0 targets for Austin Eckler.
It did, but I think it was just the hamstring thing, and then that they just took advantage of that secondary because they couldn't cover Keenan, and they sure as shit couldn't cover Mike Williams, and they couldn't cover Derek Cook. So there was just no reason to chance it, in my opinion.
No, exactly. And for me, it's just, seeing that kind of was the what was the first sign. But I also think that this revamped offensive line with what they did in the draft has just been absolutely ridiculous. No DeMarcus Lawrence for the Cowboys today. Herbert's going to have all the time in the world to bomb it to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams all day long. I'm not playing Jared Cook either, at least on GPP, because that's way too high of ownership. I'm not playing what seems to be like a 50-year-old tight end on his 10th roster in the past 10 years. Like, for me, that's a quick fade at, close to 15 to 20% ownership at a tight end position. No, thank you. I just want Keenan, Mike Williams, and Herbert. And then I want all the big boys of course, my favorite team in the Dallas Cowboys. Amari Cooper goes for 150 yards and 2 scores today. That's my meme guy.
Yeah,
Amari Cooper
catch prop is 5.5.
Yeah, Amari Cooper goes for 150 yards and 2 scores. Over 5.5 catches, easy.
Yeah, let's go. I do like Jalen Guyton a little bit, but again, if that's your one piece of fat in your lineup, I do not want you to go Jalen Guyton, Cedric Wilson, and whatever other punts that we talked about in the 3K range. Like, make sure that is a 0 fat lineup, and if it is, like, that's your punt play. And then, like, Jalen Guyton and Jared Cook together, no, that's just too much, like, just the lowest floors you could possibly think of. I don't mind Jared Cook as much as Ghost does. I think it's a good spot for him. But again, my whole thing this week is I'm getting different at tight end, and I'm going with Kittle or I'm going with Pitts, and that is that. Unless cash games, you can play whatever in cash. But all right, my favorite game of the day. Let's get after it. Doesn't seem like the rain's going to be there. I know we saw it earlier in the week that there potentially could be rain scares in this game. No wind, nothing crazy. Tennessee's defense is awful. You know how much I love Russ last week. I love what I saw from Shane Waldron calling these plays in this new scheme of started moving Metcalf in the slot a little bit last week to get him involved. But these Titans secondary is terrible. I think any one of us could go suit up and probably be their 4th best corner. DK Metcalf is going to destroy them. Russell's going to destroy them. There's going to be no defense in this game. I absolutely love Ryan Tannehill as well. I think if you can't pay $7,500 for Russ, my second favorite quarterback on this slate is, in fact, Ryan Tannehill at $6,300. And one of my favorite plays on the slate, that man, there he is. Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is going to be 5% owned, if not lower. Oh, give me that. Just it doesn't matter. I don't care if Seattle's run defense is better. Like, it's certainly a much better than it was last year. And they address the defensive line and safety. I think, obviously how good their safety play is. But Derrick Henry in a total with 55 points, as long as they can keep it close, I think they will. Derrick Henry's going to score 2 touchdowns today, and no one's going to have him. And he's always one play away from breaking the slate at 5% ownership, and he happens to be my favorite game. I absolutely love Derrick Henry. I absolutely love Chris Carson. Rashad Penny's inactive for this game, going to be hurt for a couple weeks. Chris Carson gets a 15% target share too. You could stack him with Russ if you want to, because he's a stone cold lock for me. I want Chris Carson in almost every lineup I have, because in my main stacks where I go Dallas and LA, same thing goes for this game. I want one Titan and I want one Seattle high stakeholder player in those games, and Chris Carson just seems to fit that mold for me. AJ Brown at 6,900 against Trey Flowers. My God, like, I want to run routes against Trey Flowers. I'm sure once I caught it, he'd laid my ass out. But yeah, you can't cover AJ Brown. You can't cover DK Metcalf. You can cover Tyler Lockett a little bit. He's a zone killer. But the only guy I'm nervous about here is Julio Jones. But at 6,300, like, I just go to Allen Robinson, and I'm going to wait. Like, I want to wait on Julio Jones a little bit. But I love AJ Brown. And then if you need a little punt play, this guy owns I guess he kind of plays safety and nickel corner, is Ugo Amande for Seattle. I believe last year when Josh Reynolds went against him for the Rams, he averaged 7 catches, 75 yards a game. Small sample size, but Josh Reynolds is not your typical slot receiver. The dude's 6'3". He is 100% healthy. He is back this week. So don't go playing Chester Rogers, because Josh Reynolds is going to be in this lineup. And he is my YOLO 0% own play, like a Millie Maker type of thing. I don't think you need to get there in single entry, but it's the same thing with Jalen Guyton. Same thing I said about Guyton. Same thing here with Josh Reynolds. I think Cedric Wilson's safer than both of them, but the upside's there with Josh Reynolds, and I love this matchup. Tight end, Gerald Everett doesn't do it for me. I want Metcalf, and I want Carson, and I want Derrick Henry, and I want A.J. Brown. And that is my take on that game, and I absolutely love it. Ghost, close us out, buddy. What do you got?
The Ole Miss wide receiver duo today in AJ Brown and DK.
Hotty toddy, baby. Hotty toddy Sunday.
Will go absolutely bonkers. So that's the way that I'm going to have you, because I wanted you to absolutely take the ball and run within that game. I know that's your top one. Play Derrick Henry, people. Nick Chubb is there at 7,800. I get it. Derrick Henry at 8,300 is a criminal offense at 5% ownership, especially against Seattle. That's it.
Let's get after it, man. All right, real quick. Top cash game quarterback, top GPP quarterback. You lead us off, unless you want me to go.
You go first. I don't want to take any of your picks.
Cash Herbert, GPP is going to be Tannehill, and then honorable mention Russell, just because I love you, Russ.
Cash Dak, GPP. I'm cool with running Dak again, but give me Kyler.
Nice. That's a really good one. Running back, GPP, Derrick Henry, Cash, Chris Carson.
Cash.
And then eat Najee Harris chalk and Cash.
Yeah, that Cash. I was about to say Najee, and GPP. Give me the 4K club, Javonte, and my boy Naheem Hines.
All right. And then honorable mention Delvin Cook. We got to talk about him a little bit.
Yeah.
Wide receiver. Cash wide receiver, I think for me, easily Keenan Allen. Honorable mention, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper there for Cash. GPP, it is DK Metcalf, AJ Brown, and I got to go back to my boy Marquez Callaway, just because I want you guys to know how good of a spot this is for him.
That's it. So since I'm paying down at running back, I am paying up at wide receiver. Cash, it's the Chargers and Cowboys core guys. So Coop, CD, and Keenan. I'm cool with that running as your main GPP too. Just make sure you get different elsewhere. And for GPP wide receivers, I'll go with the Ole Miss duo and D-Hop. D-Hop is my guy with Kyler.
I love it, man. That's going to be very different. Let's finish off tight end. Tight end, for me, Cash, it's Kyle Pitts and Cash for me. And then GPP, it's Kyle Pitts and George Kittle. Easy as that. Those are my favorite two. I'm avoiding that dumb 4K chalk tight ends of guys with no upside.
Yep. Cash for me is Font, just because he's going to be like 90% owned. And GPP, I will go with Pitts. Kittle. I was about to say Kittle and Pitts, but you said it. But yeah, no, it's good. We're on the same page. Kittle and Pitts for me. You got to pay up. Got to get different, and there's no better way than to fade 40% owned 4K tight ends.
All right. Just because he said asking for a friend, that is how I love when people ask that. It's too funny. Cash. Herbert, Kamara, Carson, good. Keenan Allen, really good. Jamar Chase, really good. Terrence Marshall, damn good. Noah Fant, good. And Cash. Hopefully that's Damian Harris, right? And then Browns D. I would move Terrace Marshall to Cedric Wilson just because Cedric Wilson is going to be very high chalk at that 3K range, and it just gives you another part of the Dallas-LA game. So if that's your main stack, Herbert, Keenan, run it back a little bit with Cedric and Cash is perfect. And then remember to put Chris Carson in the flex, move Damian Harris up. You always want your late guys in the flex in case you need to late swap. Like, say your lineup just isn't doing it, late swap, get off, try to save it. Disgusting.
Gross.
Don't sleep on him. Winston will throw for you. I'm gonna sleep on Adam Troutman. I do have him in like 2 lineups, but it's only to run it back with Christian McCaffrey because I just make a rule that I always want correlation. Any other questions? I got like 2 minutes before I gotta go. So let's. Who did not? Cash okay for Brian. Brian's always very active. Let's see what this is. Herbert, Carson, Harris, love. Jamar Chase, love. CeeDee Lamb, love. Devonta Smith, love. Font, love. Keenan, love. Jets. I'm cool with that. I usually run 3 running backs just because I know the volume's there, but Keenan Allen's going to get 20 targets. You cool with this one?
Yeah, I was just going to say move Keenan to swap out Devonta Smith, but if there's no running back there, then keep him.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully it's Najee Harris, though.
Yeah, if it's Najee Harris, then.
Oh, dude, you know what he can do? He can afford.
I don't know what Devonta's Damian Harris instead of Devonta Smith. Can you do that? I don't know what. So I don't know what Devonta's price is.
Brian, what I would do, 5,400. It's the same as Damian Harris.
Okay,
so I would move.
Yeah, so move Keenan to wide receiver and then put Damian Harris instead of Smith in your flex.
Yep. And then flex Carson. Keep your late guy.
Yeah, exactly. See if you could come off Jets D because you're gonna have Damian Harris in there.
Yep.
But yeah, outside of that, it's really good.
Let me make sure Devontae is.
Oh, he has 6.1 left to swap out Smith.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so you could go
Keenan Allen. Yep. Put Damian Harris in there and upgrade your D. Let's go. Yeah. FanDuel Cash. Here we go, Kenny. Montgomery, too risky for Cash. You probably just don't need it because Najee Harris and Chris Carson are right there. But no, he's not too risky. The guy's going to get 20 carries. Kenny Means. All right. FanDuel Cash. This is more you, Ghost, but how can you afford that? God, dude, FanDuel pricing is so soft. Yeah, run the hell out of that. In my opinion. I don't think you need Dalvin Cash.
You're missing a flex in there. Who's your flex?
Chris Carson, it better be.
I was just about to say it better be someone from the Seattle, Tennessee game.
Play Chris Carson in Cash.
I'm not playing Herbert on FanDuel just because all the quarterbacks are so cheap. So I'm just going up to Dak for only 400 more. But yeah, outside of that, it's really good. The fact that you can get Dalvin in there with Najee Harris is like 6K makes no sense, and he has Carson in the flex. Yeah, perfect. Just keep that.
All right, last question. Here we go. Who the hell is Tank? You're gonna have to rewrite that one. I don't know who Tank is. Do you know who Tank is? Maybe it's Dak.
Tank? Large GPP. Is it Tannehill? Is that supposed to be Tan?
Oh, okay. Tannehill.
Because he has AJ Brown.
Williams, Chris Carson. That's got to be, yeah. DK George, Amari Coop. Move Terrace Marshall to Jalen Guyton, so you have your Charger, and then go run it. Love it. Yeah, George Kittle in there. Yeah, definitely. Just move Terrace Marshall to Jalen Guyton, so you get the back and forth with Amari Cooper, and let's go to work. Thanks for joining us, guys. Awesome show. Please hit us up on Discord, Twitter, any other questions you need. But good luck this week. Greatly appreciate your guys' support. We would not do this without you. So thanks again. Like and subscribe to the video, whatever the YouTube lingo is out there. But Ghost, go get him, man.
That's right, brother.
All right. See you.